you know, people. Because we all keep quiet as if it doesn't concern you. As long as it's not your own family, it doesn't concern you. Okay, no problem. One day it go concern you. Just we all keep quiet as if it doesn't concern you. As long as it's not your own family, it doesn't concern you. We will all pay for that because we all sit back and allow human abuses to be taking place because we're all keeping quiet. As long as it's not your own family, you don't care. You don't keep quiet as if it doesn't concern you. Everybody keeps quiet. The churches keep quiet. The mosque keeps quiet. The impunity continue. It's unfair. So, Madake, you all keep quiet, knowing fully well that Nigeria, continue to create atrocities. Atrocities upon atrocities is going on, But influencer get paid a little bit and everybody just, hold their side. It's okay. Sure, one day you'll be the victim. And when you're the victim, you will cry. You will cry heavily. Heavily you will cry. When you are the victim, you will definitely cry. You will cry and cry and cry, and nobody is coming to help or save you. Very good evening to those that have just joined us on other platforms. And I've been up by dear Kato Walilale. Just nobody know the mood. It's not easy. Okay, entertain wọlé. Ẹ ṣé ìyá mi Olúbùnmi mọ̀ pé lẹ́yìn bá ti rí wa báyìí ẹ máa ń wò Koiki ó yẹ kó ti jáde especially ní Wednesday. Ara yẹn. Nígbà tí àwọn bá ti tètè jí tó ń yẹ pé ohun díẹ̀ là ń rí sùn. Ọlọ́run fún wa ní àlàáfíà ní sáà ẹ̀. Let's see. All right. Okay. Change the audio is coming out, but I need to mute the background. Good evening once again. Sorry for the technical problem that we had there earlier. Okay. All right. Good evening once again. Sorry for the technical. And I think we're good to go now. A very good evening and welcome to Niger Voices. This is the finest African and Caribbean radio station. We've lost 26 minutes. We try and catch up as quickly as possible. I say good evening to all our listeners and viewers from different parts of the globe that have joined us. And welcome to our sister network that have picked up the signal as well. Even though we've just picked the signal, but we are still okay in terms of timing and everything. So we will start with the first, music from this end, and then we will kickstart as quickly as possible. I say good evening to everyone that have joined us once again. This is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. My name is OLAMILEKAN, and I welcome you as you're joining us on different platforms. And this is my first track for the evening. Once again, a very good evening and welcome to Starr Radio UK. I say good evening to my two producers, Mr. Frank David and Mr. Archie Hammond. And I say good evening to all the Starr Radio UK presenters.
Mr. Frank David and Mr. Archie Hammond. And I say good evening to all the Starr Radio UK presenters. And welcome to Niger Voices every Wednesday. This is how we roll it out. A shout out to all our listeners and viewers from different parts of the globe and welcome to Starr Radio UK. My name is OLAMILEKAN and I say good evening to Mr. Frank, good evening to Mr. Archie. And tomorrow is the property hour, but tonight it is the Niger Voices. As the election is over, what is the fever going on in Nigeria right now? A big shout out to those of you that are watching us in African countries. It is the finest African, Caribbean radio station. A big shout out to Maze Gold and good evening and welcome to the program. A very good evening to you, Mrs. Esther. A very good evening to all the fans around the globe. Mrs. Bimileke, good evening to you. Mrs. Bridget Agboma, I say welcome to the program. Tonight, we're going to be discussing Amnesty International. Remember last week, we were discussing about the American 2022 report on Nigeria human rights abuses. Adejumo Ismaila, welcome to the program. A big shout out to Freedom Oluwafemi. It has to be freedom. And how do we get that freedom? I've been doing a lot of poll on my platform. Maybe you've not seen it. I'd like you to join me on that poll. I'll be telling you some of those polls. It's quite interesting because when you do a poll, you try to find out, the opinion of people. One of those that is very, very important is Buhari alive or is he dead? It's one of that poll. I'm going to be telling you some of the updates on the poll tonight. It is Niger Voices. It is the 29th day of March 2023. And the time now is the same with Nigeria. So when I say 1831, I know some of you are confused. Like, hey, Koiki, Starr Radio UK, which one is 1831? It is actually means that is 6:30 p.m. Remember that we use the GMT time here in UK. And I'm currently in London, but we say England. I remember when we had a guest, they say London, they call her London. For Nigeria, they call her London. I say good evening to you, Omwalaba. A shout out to those of you at Idiroko border. Shout out to those of you in Lagos State. Election is done now. What is the next fever? I saw IGBOHO today. They were protesting about, not IGBOHO. The bus conductor and the bus driver were actually protesting in Lagos. It's quite interesting that, people are protesting against IGBOHO. Who are the IGBOHO? We're going to talk about them because they are part of the human rights abuses in Nigeria. Moki Babawa Ogundare Kunle, I say shout out to you and good evening and welcome to Starr Radio UK. My name is OLAMILEKAN and this is how we roll out until 8:30. We might probably go until 9 o'clock because my engineer have actually taken my voice for half an hour. But it's good to be back. Aziz Bashire, I say shout out to you all the way in Miami. Tonight we are looking at the Amnesty report on Nigeria. A shout out to those of you on the MixLR. A shout out to you, Mubarak. I know you're there. Oyeyemi, I say good evening to you, Oladimeji. Oni eku ìrọ̀lẹ́ o, our media, èmi náà ní eku ìrọ̀lẹ́ láti London. I mean, I can imagine what it used to look like. I was looking at one of my mom's, boss. My mom worked in Mobil Oil some period, during the 70s when Nigeria was still booming, the oil money. When you know the oil money, you know what I'm talking about. The man has died now. His name is late Chief Ayede M. Okiti. He's actually from Ondo State, like my auntie there, IGBOHO. Shout out to those of you. Otumba Kunle. Naija Voices, to Starr Radio UK. He was the director of the petroleum resources in the Ministry of Mines and Power. He was seconded as the secretary of the General of OPEC. My mom could have made a lot of money. I don't know why my mom did not go to Geneva. When this man was seconded to OPEC as a secretary, he told my mom, come to Geneva. Maybe I would have had a passport from, Switzerland. Iyanu Mashele Udunayo, I say good evening and welcome to the program. Shout out to those of you in Florida. It is called Naija Voices. We are just warming up. What is Amnesty saying? Who are Amnesty? Do we have to, do we have to believe in their report? Or maybe we might be talking about the, Zazu. What's going on with Zazu? Kamsi is back, and we say thank you so much to everyone, and also the governor of Enugu State for making sure that the young boy was not killed by those that kidnapped him over the weekend. Kamsi is back. What was the reason why I'm going to try and get his age. Kamsi was kidnapped, by some element of criminals in the southeast. And I can confirm to everyone that we have been able to say that Kamsi is a young, boy. I think he's about probably 11. I'm not too sure. I'm going to find out. He does his own little thing. Kamsi is a vibrant, young, talented comedian from the Igbo. Is the North Local Government of Enugu State. But something happened. He's been talking about the Biafra. He's been talking about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. But some people are not happy. Some people are not happy. Nigeria, the moment you start saying something, you get picked up straight away. Otumba, what are you saying? I want to read your comment in just about a few minutes. But we're going to be talking about Kamsi. We're going to be talking about a year after the terrorist attack on the Abuja-Kaduna rail network. Hey, don't forget. Hey, I don't know how they speak broken English. I'm trying to speak a broken English. But when you live in UK for too long, broken is not something that you speak all the time. But I love to speak broken English. I love broken English, and I love Yoruba as well. A very shout out to those of you, that have joined us. If you are not following us on the Starr Radio UK, Twitter, I don't know why. Maybe for whatever reason, you just don't feel like following us. Why not follow us? A shout out to my big auntie Iyabo Olubomi. I can't be calling you Iyabo. I say Auntie Iyabo or Mommy Iyabo. We Yoruba people, we get respect. Shaking Dobale Fuyima, I say shout out to you. Moki Ami Kemi Belu, shaking Dobale for Mosi Buboy Ramoni. Iyanu Odula is a very smart and bold boy who knows what freedom is. So you think that Kamsi knows freedom? What about all these big people who know they talk about freedom? And when I see a big uncle, I say shout out to you. Clement, a shout out to you. Okay, Kamsi is about 10 years old, going to 11 years old. Thank you so much. And it's good to know that, Kamsi, we're going to give you his picture in just about a few minutes. I think I have a picture of Kamsi, and we might probably start with Kamsi tonight. My focus this evening is going to be the Amnesty International report on Nigeria. Who are the Amnesty? Are they biased? Are they true? I say shout out to you, Mr. Kunle Shita, and Otumba said, Mr. Koiki, some of your Yoruba Nation agitators are very irritating. Nobody's talking about the Yoruba Nation every day. Lagos, Igbo. But someone who is taking Lagos now, if it's someone who takes by Lagos, maybe we shouldn't worry too much about that. I know there's been a lot of people that are probably not talking about the other areas. We remain Yoruba Nation. Everybody knows that. Even Starr Radio knows that I'm a Yoruba Nation man. That That is the beauty of freedom. You know, I'm also a member of the Labour Party here in UK, even though I've not been able to perform my, some activities for some time. Thank you so much, Auntie Yabo. Do you like Auntie Yabo or Mommy Yabo? Good evening to you, Mr. Mubarak. Ramadan. I need to get a Ramadan, track. Maybe before the end of the program, I'm going to find a Ramadan track that I'm going to play to some of my listeners that are Muslims. Are you fasting? Remember when we used to fast in Lagos Island, and then you go downstairs and you suck the water, and then you go back upstairs, you tell Elijah, Elijah, and you know that definitely, the Ramadan is already done and dusty. The beauty about Ramadan is, I'm not sure whether that still happens in Lagos State. You can move around very late, you can do a lot of activities. But now that Lagos is no longer safe, Lagos is not safe because we remember that Bamishe was killed in Lagos State. So if anybody says Lagos is safe, maybe I want representative from Lagos State government to come and talk to us on Star Radio UK and tell us how Lagos is safe. So there's a lot we want to discover. We're going to talk about Kamsi. Kamsi, maybe you don't know him. I'm going to show you his picture. A year ago, this month, remember that on the 28th of March last year, 2022, there was a kidnap attack on the Abuja train network. So many people got killed, and we also remember those that died and those that are still surviving, the memories, the psychology memory. Let's start tonight with Kamsi. Kamsi is a young, Igbo man. Oh, did I say man? Nah, he's a young boy. But he's doing something that is becoming more, how do I want to put it? Yoruba Loga, a very good evening to you. Mokiya wadada. Yawani Yoruba ni kia kia. Yawa Musumola Adejoke. I say good evening and welcome to Star Radio UK. Amnesty International report on Nigeria. Yes, Maze Gold said, Kamsi is a Biafra young boy. And that is his picture. And I'm going to get some of what Kamsi have been saying that has now attracted some evil element in the Southeast to get him kidnapped. But if you've joined me for the very first time, the only thing you can do for me is, just go on the Star Radio UK on Twitter and follow us as well. And what happened to Zazu? We're going to find out as well, Zazu. But if you're joining me for the first time, this is called...
This is Star Radio UK. This is Star Radio UK. In your car, work, at home, on your smartphone. Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7. Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7. In your car, work, at home, on your smartphone. The best radio show. The best radio show. The morning show. The best radio show. Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7.
And that is how we do it. And again, maybe we should just tell you also.
Star Radio UK. This is Star Radio UK. This is Star Radio UK.
Well, it is Star Radio UK every Wednesday. This is how I roll out. This is how we take you home. This is how we have a discussion. This is how we talk about issues affecting indigenous people. This is how we discuss issues affecting Nigerians, because it doesn't matter whether, we want to have our own independent country as Yoruba people. We must also remember that there's a lot of atrocity going on in Nigeria, and we don't sit here and overlook those atrocities. There's also a Yoruba man that is missing since 26. We're going to be talking about him. I'm told, as of today, he's not yet found. They call him, I'm going to get his name very well so that I don't give you a different name. Who lives in the zoo? We're going to come to that later on. But let's start with Kamsi. Everybody knows, that Nigeria is a sovereign nation, but does it give you, that right as Nigerians? So tonight, the young boy behind me is where we're going to start. He doesn't have to be a Yoruba boy. He doesn't have to be an Hausa boy. He doesn't have to be a Kanuri. All we know that is something happened. And Kamsi ended up to become a victim of the atrocity of Nigeria today, as a 10-year-old boy, that, social media has become one of the very powerful tools, and you can make a small video and you can become boom. So what do we know about Kamsi, and why was Kamsi, picked up? Let's hear from Kamsi himself in one of the video Kamsi made that maybe was not comfortable with some element of the Nigerians, and they eventually had Kamsi kidnapped in Enugu State. Let's hear from Kamsi. I know he's speaking his beautiful language there, which is Igbo language, but let's just, just go along with it, even if you don't understand what he's saying. But the message is that every Igbo man and woman shall never skip. And that is the title of these, just about 2 minutes, 15 seconds. I'm going to allow the video to run through so that we can get a bit of, and if you understand Igbo, please try to, okay, the name of the individual that we are going to talk about later on is called Ganiu Kende. He's been missing, and we don't like when people are missing because we become very worried. And his Instagram name is called Ijoba Lande. He's been missing according to the wife. We're going to talk about him later on as well. But let's first listen to a message from Kamsi that was kidnapped over the weekend, but we can confirm that Kamsi is now back with a parent.
Kamsi, ogini kwan. Come on down. Can you name in Koalmun or Tatakam Nagimalu? Koalm can name it.
A hero, our hero, I mentor. This man will put on Macanuma, drink to Nadima. This man will put on wire. Take only Brunei and Naya. Why for his dog? This man, I will make him like it. For years. I was really a Maka. He released. I know the politician try not to Kokoreba. This man, what I know, making figure men, the politician, I can't. Deep. I will go to the moment that some people I will go break. Common sense.
At least if we don't hear anything, I think I had a couple of things there. He was asked a question. So Igbo Kwenu, he was actually thrown a question and he was responding back to that question. We know I had, Nnamdi Kanu in that video. But the question then is, why was Kamsi kidnapped in Enugu State? It could be anybody in any part of Nigeria. Or was it because of his, utterances, his views about, politics today? Is Kamsi too young to be discussing about the issue around Nnamdi Kanu? We actually talked about Nnamdi Kanu case on this program, in details. I'm sure some of you remember. Somebody says, Mesgo said they should take Kamsi out of that area, pata for his own safety. Mr. Clement is trying to say that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in jail because of the Biafran. And this is what Kamsi is saying. Thank you so much for the translation. Mazi Kanu is in jail because of Biafrans. He's unhappy. He's a hero and a mentor. He has been forgotten while the Igbos follow politicians with no purpose. Wow. What a very intelligent young boy. That is what, Kamsi, that is what Kamsi was actually telling us. Prince Eze Eyinacho has joined us again tonight. We can all say thank you so much once again, to Prince Eze. I don't know about that, Mr. Dewale. I won't be able to read that comment out yet because nobody can confirm such news. Emmanuel Jr. says Equato and Prince Eze Inacho. Very good evening to you for joining us on this program as well tonight. Saeed Mele, shout out to those of you that have joined us as well. So, Mrs. Abosede, good evening to you and welcome to Starr Radio UK. It is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. My name is OLAMILEKAN. Now that, Yano Dula say, what a very brave boy. Yes, he is a very brave boy. Shout out to those of you that have joined us on the Instagram as well. I say good evening and welcome to Starr Radio UK. As we are looking at, good evening to you, Mrs. Wura, Ade Beauty, and the rest of you. Kamsi eventually got picked up, I believe on Saturday, if not Sunday, but is back home with his family. Is it because Kamsi, I'm trying to find out his real name, but I'll just go along with his his Facebook page name, which is Kamsi Media. Is it because he's too young to talk about issues like Nnamdi Kanu and politics, the Igbo? Or is it just that Kamsi is saying things that is uncomfortable with some element of Igbo people in the Southeast? And that was the reason why, he was kidnapped. What does the world say when it comes to, children under age? A very sad one. Remember that over the, I think 2 days ago, almost 6 people with 3 children got killed in America by another lunatic that had weapon and went into the school. We must protect our children. We must make sure they are also protected. And who does that protection if it's not the community? Kamsi eventually was kidnapped. But Kamsi is back right now, with his family, and we are grateful. And I did watch, just about 9 minutes of what actually played out. So we're going to listen to a bit of what Kamsi himself had to say after he came back. Let's hear from Kamsi and the family.
From the police now to his parents. Yes, here is Kamsi's parents and with his manager. And I think this is the right time for we to hear from Kamsi. How did it happen and what happened? Kamsi, can we hear from you?
Maybe we should first let's first listen to how Kamsi was kidnapped. The audio that I'm going to play now is how Kamsi got kidnapped, 3 days ago on Sunday. Yes, it is a Sunday, according to, what a very sad Sunday. That some were even saying it's a prank. And this is the reason why, we've got to be very careful because there's a lot of prank going on in Nigeria. You look at those pranks, the comedy, and sometimes you don't know whether it's true or false until they say, it's a prank. Some even thought that, the kidnap of Kamsi was a prank, maybe was something prepared. I don't know, why would I want to make such a prank? Kamsi is already becoming a very popular young boy on the social media and is gaining his followers, bit by bit. But why would he want to put out such a prank, for his own kidnap? But we know that it's not a kidnap because, that was part of the video. But this is how Kamsi got picked up. Did I say picked up? Kidnapped.
I just woke up, on the see noise. They don't come carry Kamsi. They don't come carry Kamsi. Hey, God. They don't come kidnap Kamsi. Nigeria, what is wrong with this country? God. You see what they are doing to Mama Kamsi? You see what they are doing to Mama Kamsi? This is not fair. This is not fair. They don't kidnap Kamsi. They don't kidnap Kamsi. God. They don't kidnap Kamsi. See as Kamsi siblings are crying. See you. Can you just imagine? They are going. This is not fair. And
you know, when you listen to that audio, if you're a mother, you're a father, your uncle, you're, you know, human being, you will start, your blood start running. But there was something that also struck in that video. I know you can't see the video, but you can hear the soundtrack. Mama Kamsi took his bike, tried to run after those that were kidnapping his son, even though, you know, you can tell that the vehicle was driving faster than the motorcycle that Mama Kamsi eventually used. Let's hear from Mama Kamsi while, you know, the video is still going on.
It's not fake. This is not fake. God. This is not fake. You can see what is going on here. Mama Kamsi, what is going on? See, the world must hear this. The world, we just do on our own. You see what is going on. Mama Kamsi, where are you going? Mama Kamsi.
So Mama Kamsi actually took his, took her, very small scooter and decided to run after the vehicle, but you can tell the vehicle was running very fast. But we are grateful that Kamsi himself is back, and let's hear from Kamsi now.
What really happened? Like, where did the day?
At exactly 7 p.m., I will now go into the full details of the Amnesty International. These are part of the atrocity, crime against humanity on the young boy in Nigeria, and this happened in the northern part of the country, the Middle Belt, and so many that is going on unreported.
And how did you manage to leave that place, and who rescued you from them? From the crash, okay.
That Sunday was murdering Sunday.
Okay, that's Mother's Day.
Yes. So me and my mom was cooking when they knock at the gate.
Okay.
One of our neighbors went to open the gate.
Okay.
They used fast to enter our compound.
Okay.
And say na me.
Okay, one of them pointed at you, saying na you. So, okay.
So then my mother come they drag me. Say they will carry me, they no will carry me.
Okay.
So they come push my mother. My mother fall.
Yeah.
So they carry me put inside hillock.
Okay.
Immediately I enter the hillock, they close my eyes.
Okay, they blindfolded you.
Yes.
Okay.
Another thing I see myself is in a building, uncompleted building.
Okay.
So they told me, do I know the reason why?
Okay. I want us to listen carefully. This is Kamsi now speaking, They are now telling, do you know the reason why you have been kidnapped? I mean, an 11-year-old boy in Nigeria in 2023. And he was taken away from Sunday. He got back yesterday. So for almost 48 hours or thereabout, Kamsi was not with his family in somewhere that nobody knows until there was a pressure from around the world. There was a pressure from internal, and I hope maybe the governor of Enugu State was also involved with the commissioner for police. But we are grateful that Kamsi is now back to the family. In just about 5 minutes, we're going to go straight into the full report on the Amnesty International on Nigeria.
They asked me second, so one of them told me to stop talking about it.
Can you make that clear? Okay, you mean they told you to stop talking about Biafra?
Yes.
So the reason why they kidnapped you was to tell you to stop talking about Biafra?
But the only thing I know is that I defend myself.
Okay.
I told them no, that Biafra is my land.
Okay.
I can't keep at my people is dying.
Okay.
So I started crying.
So we've got the message, and again, that is Kamsi speaking to us, right there, giving his experience as a young Nigerian that, was getting his views on the social media, on his own platform, managed by somebody, definitely, because he's still young to have a Facebook register on his name. but he got kidnapped over the weekend. So when we go back and ask the question, why was he kidnapped? We've now know the why, but who is behind it? We hope, one day we will find out. But definitely there are elements of people that do not want, Kamsi to talk about. He can talk about anything else, but do not talk about the Biafra. If you've joined us for the very first time, and probably maybe you don't know the platform that you are probably sitting down in, this is called the Starr Radio UK. It comes up every Wednesday, and we say good evening and welcome once again to all our viewers, our listeners from around the world.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
And once again, this is a very good evening to you all and welcome. And in just 2 minutes, I'm going to take you straight to, the update from the Amnesty International report.
This is Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK.
Well, Amnesty International is well known across the globe. For those of us who probably knows them very well. Not everybody knows Amnesty International, but I'm sure at some point you would have heard about them, one way or the other. I'm sure. You might not know them, what is the reason why they are in every country, what is the purpose of Amnesty International. I'm going to guide you a little bit tonight. They are not always friends to different countries around the world. Yeah, and the reason for that is, so many countries around the world, especially African countries, do not like Amnesty International because Amnesty International is there to defend, the people against atrocity and crime against humanity that occurs all the time. But we are going to be telling you everything you need to know regarding, it might take some reading, just like we did last week. But when we come back, then we're going to talk about, the Yoruba nation. We're going to talk about so many other things. And I'm just trying to find the best, of the background, maybe we could take with that for now. So Amnesty International is an international organization that talks about so many issues. And it's not just issues in Nigeria, in different parts of the globe as we have it today. What do we know about Amnesty International? Let's first talk about Amnesty International. Who are we or who are they? Amnesty International is a global movement of more than 10 million people who take injustice personally, just as we are taking injustice personally here on this platform as well, especially, issues affecting not just Nigerians, but affecting the indigenous people, the Yorubas, whether the Yorubas that have been, arrested, especially, India, there's a lot of atrocity happening to Nigerians, in India and so many other countries across the globe as well. You can also listen to us inside your
work, at home, on your smartphone, in your car, work, at home, on your smartphone,
and
on your smartphone.
You can also download our apps on the App Store, where you can also follow us on the Starr Radio UK as well. A very good evening once again to those of you that have joined us, and I say good evening to you, Mr. Jimmy, and good evening to you, Taxi. Good evening to you. I know Alao Baba is there, and Clement. I know those are two of you, Alao Baba and Comrade Plan B rather. I say good evening to you and the rest of you that have joined us on the Mixlr. So let me go straight into the report, because it's quite a lengthy one, and I want to read it as much as possible. But if you are facing any kind of injustice, and Amnesty International gets to know about it in your country, like Nigeria, you are likely to get a very good opportunity with about 10 million people, talking about you. That means 10 million people, in support of the injustice that has been patel on you. I'm not sure whether Amnesty International were able to pick up on the Kamsi issue, but they talk about other areas as well, like Dadiyati, Abba Jalingo, so many different injustice that is happening, even during the military era, and likewise, even during this President Muhammadu Buhari's government, that has become, a very, very bad one. If you want to rate this government, it's been a very, very bad one. Economy is down, insecurity, like I said, last year, this month, so many Nigerians were killed on the train attack that took place inside Nigeria. Kayode Adekunle, you're actually watching us right onside the Starr Radio UK channel, and I say thank you so much. Once again, a very good evening and welcome to Starr Radio UK. As we go into the program tonight, I'd like to say that we must remember that injustice to one is injustice to all. Injustice to one is injustice to all. Some of us might probably know that somebody like Omoyele Sowore is always out there in support of whether it is the Biafra, whether it's the Yoruba, whether it is just the average Nigerians that have been arrested for whatever reason. You will probably see Omoyele Sowore right there. So Omoyele Sowore is also doing similar to what Amnesty International is doing. The difference between both of them is that Amnesty International can easily get your message quickly to the global community. So if for whatever reason, like I said, injustice is done on you and Amnesty International get that picked up, you would have 10 million people talking about you, and it's just in Nigeria. So we are campaigning for a world where human rights are enjoyed by all. Is there human rights in Nigeria? Are we enjoying the human right in Nigeria? I was reading a report again, I'm just giving you a brief before we go into the Amnesty report, where during the election, I think in Edo State, probably Obaseki, I believe Obaseki is from Edo State. And we were able to find out that Obaseki, during the election, also tried to destroy the election materials by sending his talk. The woman that actually put out the video is now being run after by the security or those surrounding Obaseki. Let's say this clearly. Injustice to one is injustice to all. So let's go into the report. Nigeria 2022, thousands of civilians were killed, injured, or displaced by the armed conflict between the armed groups Boko Haram and Islamic State West African province ISWAP. The Nigerian military in the northeastern Nigeria, all parties to the conflict, committed violations of international law, including war crime, with impunity. Elsewhere, unlawful killings and violence were perpetrated by bandits, and authorities responded with enforced disappearance, torture, arbitrary detention, severe restrictions to freedoms of expression, peaceful assembly. Media outlets and journalists had their freedom of expression curtailed by the authorities. Activists and protesters face restrictions on their right to freedom of expression, peaceful assembly. More than 60,000 people were forcibly evicted from their homes. Failure to protect people from the effect of climate change led to death and displacement. Violations of international human rights law. Abuses by armed groups. The state failed in its responsibility to protect people from various abuses committed by Boko Haram and ISWAP, as well as unknown gunmen, according to media report. They killed at least 6,907 people, adopted 6,157, and forcibly transferred or internally displaced at least 2,000. Attacks by Boko Haram which had been predominantly in the northeast, spread to some states in the north central and the northwestern Nigeria during the year. Attacks by Boko Haram directed against civilians as those targeting villagers, farming communities, and highway and train passengers amounted to war crimes. Civil society organizations reported that on the 26th May, Boko Haram killed at least 60 people in Ram community in Borno State. On the 5th of July, gunmen attacked Kuje prison in Abuja and freed more than 60 suspected Boko Haram members. According to media reports, on 15 November, Boko Haram reportedly killed more than 15 women in Gwazo community, Borno State, after accusing them of being witches. Of the hundreds of school children adopted by the Boko Haram in the previous years, 110 girls remain in captivity at the end of last year. Security forces. Security forces consistently violated human rights in the context of military operations conducted against the Boko Haram in the northeastern Nigeria. In December, Reuters reported that the Nigerian military had conducted a secret forced abortion program in the northeast since 2013, ending at least 10,000 pregnancies without the consent or prior knowledge of the women and girls is concerned, which could amount to war crimes and crime against humanity. The Nigerian authorities consistently fail to hold security officials accountable for crimes committed against civilians, freedom of expression and association and assembly. On the 13th of January, the government lifted a 7-month ban on the social media platform Twitter. On the 14th of July, the ECOWAS court declared that the Twitter ban had been unlawful and ordered the Nigerian state to respect, protect, promote, and fulfill the rights to freedom of expression, information, and media freedom. On the 2nd of February, the Nigerian Broadcasting Commission, NBC, suspended a program on the Vision FM radio station for discussing the alleged incompetence of the head of the National Intelligence Agency, Rafiu Abubakar. On 3rd of August, the NBC again sanctioned 4 media outlets for showing a documentary perceived to promote terrorism. On the 16th of October, Zamfara State government shut down 5 media outlets for broadcasting an opposition party's campaign rally. On the 7th of November, a court in Kano sentenced a social media celebrities Mubarak Muhammad, known as Uniqua Pink, and Nafisa Muhammad, a week's detention, flogging, and fine for allegedly defaming the Kano State governor in a comedy sketch. Activists and protesters. The government continued to clamp down on protest. On the 5th of April, Mubarak Bala, president of the Humanist Association of Nigeria, was sentenced in Kano to 24 years imprisonment under criminal charges for breaching the peace. The charges related to a Facebook post from April 2020 in which he allegedly insulted Prophet Muhammad. On the 14th of May, the governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, banned religious protests in the state. On the 27th of July, the chief judge of Akwa Ibom State committed activists in Inebehe Efion to prison without trial for 1 month for contempt. Prisoners of conscience Omoyele Showore and Olawale Bakari continue to face trumped-up charges and prolonged trials for organizing peaceful protests to demand respect for human rights and the rule of law. On the 20th of October, police used tear gas against protesters during the 2-year commemoration of the #EndSARS protest at Lekki Tollgate. At least 4 people were arrested and detained. Journalists. On the 21st of March, a federal high court in Calabar dismissed a trumped-up charges of treason against journalist Agba Jalingo. He had previously been detained for more than 179 days. On the 13th of May, blogger Bashiru Ahmed was detained for publishing the alleged criminal records of the governor of Ogun State. He was released after being compelled to withdraw the publication. On the 13th of October, journalist Abdulrasheed Akogun from Fresh Insight TV and Dari Akogun from Sobi FM radio station were detained in a police in Ilorin, Kwara State over a WhatsApp message which allegedly misappropriation of public funds by the Kwara State governor. On the 22nd of July, 5 staff of the People's Gazette were arrested in Abuja following an alleged defamatory report published by the newspaper about the former chief of army staff. Umaru Marudin, a leadership newspaper correspondent in Zamfara State, was detained for undisclosed reasons on 23rd of July and released the following day without charge. On the 4th of August, Kasmi Uzoma, a radio worker in Imo State, was detained for more than 2 months by the state security services for hearing a song considered offensive to the state governor. Arbitrary arrests and detentions. At least 40 protesters remain in detention without trial in Agodi Prison, Ibadan, and Kirikiri Prison, Lagos, 2 years after participating in the #EndSARS protest against Nigerian security forces. On the 4th of February 2021, 21 #EndSARS protesters held incommunicado for 15 months at Afaruku Prison, Umuahia, were released without charge. On the 23rd June, the Abuja High Court awarded damage to Gloria Okoli over her detention for 150 days on the allegations of spying for the separatist group Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB. On the 13th of October, the Court of Appeal cleared Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the IPOB, of criminal charges and declared his adoption from Kenya to Nigeria illegal and violation of his right to a fair trial. Torture and over ill-treatment. Torture and other ill-treatment remain pervasive within the criminal justice system. At least 21 #EndSARS protesters were tortured while in detention. At the Criminal Investigation Department, Umuahia, and in other police facilities, police officers tortured the arrested protesters by tying their hands to iron bars and flogging their ankles with a rod. Victims reported to Amnesty International that at least 2 protesters were tortured to death. Enforced disappearance. Several men were forcibly disappeared by the authorities in response to the activities of the IPOB. Sunday, Nwafu, Uzonwa Ejifo, and Wilfred Dickey who had been secretly detained by the military without charge or trial since the 27th of February 2020, were released on the 14th of September. Government critic Abubakar Idris remained missing since his adoption by suspect state agent in 2019, also known as Daddy Yati. Excessive and unnecessary use of force. Security forces use excessive force to disperse peaceful protesters and assemblies. On the 19th of October, police fired tear gas at para-athletes protesting in Surulere district of Lagos over their exclusion from the National Sport Festival. On the 17th of October, a coroner court found that the police had shot dead Jumoke Oyeleke during a Yoruba Nation rally in Ojota, Lagos State. On the 4th of October, police killed 1 person and injured 2 others who were protesting against harassment by the officials of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission in a town of Ugali in Delta State. Extrajudicial execution. Nigerian security forces killed at least 122 people in response to increasing violence and killings of their officers in the southeastern Nigeria. On the 17th of July, at least 7 people were extrajudicially executed by the state-sponsored Ibugbe paramilitary agent in the town of Awo Omama in Imo State. Forced eviction. On the 17th of August, officials of the Federal Capital Territory Administration and security agencies demolished around 100 structures in Dubia, Ina, Durumu, 3 indigenous communities. Abuja security agents used unnecessary and excessive force, tear gassing, physically assaulting residents. Some residents sustained injuries. Several children were exposed to tear gas, resulting in 2 children passing out. The pressure on the indigenous community to vacate their ancestral land persisted. Other communities in the Federal Capital Territory, including the Airport Road area in Gishiri and Banana Village, were demolished while several others remain under threat of forced evictions by the FCTA. On the 29th of January, Rivers State authorities possibly evicted thousands of residents of waterfront communities from their homes in Doha, Port Harcourt. The first eviction was conducted without adequate notice or consultation. Right to life and security of the person. Authorities ignore early predictions of heavy rainfalls and flood, which the United Nations says were exacerbated by the climate change and failed to put in place sufficient measures to mitigate the impact. According to the United Nations, more than 1.9 million people were affected by the flood across 25 states. At least 500 people were killed. More than 1.4 million were internally displaced across Nigeria. The flood triggered an outbreak of waterborne disease, especially in the northeast state. More than 320 deaths were reported from cholera in Yobe, Borno, Adamawa state. Banditry activities intensify in the northwest, including attacks and abductions, due to the lack of measures to protect communities by the authorities. Competing armed groups effectively gain control of some areas of Nigeria, imposing taxes and curfews and limiting people's movement and livelihood pursuit. In the southeast, unidentified gunmen carry out hit-and-run attacks, killing and theft of property, leading to the hardship in the local communities. Military operations were carried out against banditry in the northwest and against the Eastern Security Network of IPOB in the southeast. Security forces consistently violated human rights in the context of these operations. According to the media report, on the 17th of April, military officers opened fire on civilian residents at Olu, Imo State, killing an estimated 4 people. Vigilante attacks became commonplace. Between January and December, there were more than 75 reported deaths from vigilante attacks across Nigeria. Security experts attributed the increased incidence of these attacks to people's lack of confidence in the justice system. On the 28th of March, at least 65 people were abducted and killed by the gunmen who attacked a train between the capital Abuja and the city of Kaduna. Corporate accountability, oil-related pollution and environmental damage continue to undermine people's human rights in Niger Delta. On the 16th of June, Nigerian Supreme Court upheld a lower court ruling which prevented Shell from selling its Nigerian asset until the resolution of a dispute in relation to compensation to the Niger Delta community over 2019 oil spill. The cleanup by Shell remained inadequate. Children's rights. More than 1,776 school children had been adopted by armed groups since 2014. Nigerian authorities continue to fail to investigate these attacks and to protect children. According to UNESCO, an estimated 20 million children and young people were not attending school in Nigeria due to economic barriers, social-cultural practice that discourage formal education. This was exacerbated by the high level of insecurity and adoption of school children. Women's and girls' rights. In March, the National Assembly voted against 5 bills that sought to promote gender equality. After several protests by women's groups and civil society organizations, the National Assembly committed to reconsidering 3 of the bills. The Federal Capital Judiciary designated 4 judges to prosecute all sexual and gender-based violent cases within the Federal Capital Territory, the area of central Nigeria that includes Abuja, to accelerate hearing of such cases and ensure access to justice for victims. Borno State, Taraba State, Gombe State, Zamfara State passes the Violence Against Persons Prohibiting Act during the year, bringing the number of the states that have passed the law to 35 out of 36. Nevertheless, violence against women and girls remain endemic, and there were increased reports of domestic and sexual violence. LGBT people's rights. In June, 3 gay men, Abdullahi Betty, Kamilu Yalu, Malam Aruna, were arrested under the Same-Sex Marriage Prohibition Act 2013 and subsequently sentenced to death by a Sharia court in Ningingi, Bauchi State. On May 1st, around 50 LGBT activists protest in Abuja against a bill criminalizing cross-dressing. Internal display people's rights. There remain more than 2.4 million internal displaced people in the northeastern Nigeria. In an attempt to resettle all internal displaced people living in Maiduguri, the Borno State government closes 4 camps in July and resettle 11,000 households. Most of the resettled people lack sufficient food and access to the basic amenities. Death penalty. Court across Nigeria continue to impose death sentence. No execution were carried out. On the 28th of June, Zamfara State amended its law to allow the death penalty for kidnapping. In August, Court of Appeal ordered the retrial of musician Aminu Yahya Shafari, who was sentenced to death for blaspheming. Nigeria, 50 days into the adoption, at least 62 Kaduna Abuja train passengers remain in captivity as at 17th of May. Wow. I don't know which one you were picking from those reports. Star Radio UK is just 23 minutes past 1900 hours. I say very good evening to you, to my beautiful auntie, Mrs. Olajumoke Ajoke, and welcome to the program. Uluwale, good evening to you. Dash Mayor TV, good evening to you. Additional Taiwo, a very good evening to you. Gina Duro, well done, brother, you say. I say good evening to you. Good evening to you, to Elijah Fatima Adekola, a very good evening to you. Lawal Tena, some politicians plotting to prevent Tinubu's inauguration, sponsor violent protests, and then install interim government. Good evening to you, Mrs. Nike Dixensi. Emmanuel Jr., good evening to you. And welcome on board our own mother, Mrs. Omolara Iyabo Achala. Good evening to you, Big Sammy Favor. Good evening and shout out to you. We've actually listened to the Amnesty International report. No state in Nigeria is free from any kind of human rights abuses, whether it's in Ogun State, whether it's in Lagos State, whether it's in the Southeast, whether it's in the North, whether it's in the Middle Belt. Almost all the 36 states are crime against humanity in Nigeria. Tonight, we are reviewing the Amnesty International report on Nigeria on the Star Radio UK. Good evening to you, Wasil Taiwo. Good evening to you, my brother, Jimo Olawumi. And shout out to you, Rahim Abbas. If you join me for the very first time, again, this is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London.
UK. This is Star Radio UK. In your car, at work, at home, on your smartphone. Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7. Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7. In your car, at work, at home, on your smartphone. The best radio show. The best radio show. The morning show. The best radio show. Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7.
Once again, I say shout out to my producer, Mr. Frank David, Mr. Archie Amon, and yes, also a comment here from Olatunja Officer, a brother of mine, says, Tinubu will take over after Buhari. Nothing is going to happen, and as more pressure is out there. We're going to come back to that in just about a few minutes. Let's focus first on the Amnesty International report. Keep your comment coming. I'll be reading it out, be trusting that as well. Thank you so much. Shout out again to those of you on the Instagram, Mrs. Moji Adesoya. If you're watching us on Twitter, I say shout out to you as well. Amnesty International report, which one actually struck you out of that report? I mean, is it the one from 60 people that were adopted in a Bani community in Borno State? Is it the gun attack during the Kuje prison and 60 suspected Boko Haram? Do you know that 2 years there were still innocent Nigerians kept in the prison after the EndSARS? Wow, what a country is Nigeria. Why is it that our leaders, those running the affairs of Nigeria, are scared of the people's voice? Is that going to change when as Mr. Tunja Ofeso says, Tinubu gets the power? Remember that Tinubu was also fighting at some point, the military era. Is it going to allow the tolerance of the democracy? Because Buhari never allowed that. Buhari actually banned Twitter for 7 good months. Ogidiolu TV, a very good evening to you. So I want us to look back at these. Is this the activists? Somebody like me in Nigeria would have been arrested, I'm sure, because the Nigerian government is not happy with my utterances for breakup of Nigeria. And that is why tonight, when you are outside Nigeria, it seems that even if you don't have money, look, some of us don't have money, but the freedom that we have, somebody like Mr. Tony Aegis has got the freedom. He doesn't have to have enough money. But in Nigeria, even with the money, even with your celebrity, even with your own, influence, and this takes us to, I'm not saying that he has done something right. If you have committed crime, if you have to go to the police station, and the police has actually released a report that, Portable, we all call him Portable Zazu, but he has a name, I don't know why we end up calling him, okay, maybe because that's his street name, but I want to get his full name. His name is Abib Olalomi Oyegbile. He's very popular, known as Portable or Dr. Zazu. This was his response when, the police wanted to, maybe ask him some few questions. Maybe he has overreacted. But the Ogun State report police that I read says that he will still have to be called to the station because they've actually invited him 5 times and he hasn't turned up. But this is what he has to say when they actually came to his business premises somewhere in Ogun State. If you don't understand Yoruba, I know he's speaking Yoruba language there. It's just that I don't know what has gone wrong. But again, in a civilized society, we expect things to be done, the right way. We expect things, to be done in a way that it is going to be at least, the right of people will be respected. Was the right of Abib Olalomi, popularly known as Portable or Dr. Zazu, as is known, is street name, was his right not, was he not given the right? Because if you're invited to the station, we expect you to go to the station, if you have not committed any crime. But it seems that something went wrong, and these are part of the atrocity. And I'm just reading, some of your comment as well. If any emergency happened, you can call the police, they will never answer. That is what Mrs. Omolara is saying there as well. Ola Akiyemi say Yoruba Nation, no going back. We're going to be talking about Yoruba Nation, as you always know, before the end of the program. It's not the first time that, we've seen the atrocity committed by the Nigerian police. Mr. Awofeso says Amnesty International should focus more on the Eastern European and the Middle East as well. Good evening to you, Mrs. Mary Ogunade. Portable Tipara, Benny, Portable actually para. Once again, this is still the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London as I continue to review, the Amnesty International report. Is Amnesty able to balance the report? Last week, if you've missed the program, go back and watch it. We actually talked about almost an hour and a half. I think I'm not happy that this one is not a very long one. The last week of the U.S. report on Nigeria, took us about an hour and a half, to read through it as well. Let's go back to some of the details of this report. I want to pick out a particular one there. There's a lot there. There are some that maybe I don't know. I don't know your views and your opinion about the LGBT, but I'm sure here in UK, there's a limited to what we can say. Is that the same thing? Does our culture accept such? Is this something? I don't know, but you can tell that we have people of such also in Nigeria and across different African countries. Larry Lamina, a very good evening to you, and shout out to all our listeners in Benin Republic. Good evening to you, Professor Banja Kintoye. Good evening to you, to all those that are also fighting for the right of the Yoruba people. Prisoners of conscience, Omoyele Sowore is free now, but he's still going back and forth into the court system because, Sowore wanted to call for a revolution now, and the federal government thought, Sowore, this is too much. It looks like you're going to overthrow the government. A shout out and a very good evening to my beautiful mother that I've just joined, and welcome to the program as well. So the report, which part of the report, is really touching your heart? I want to go back to the government continued to clamp down on protest. Let's go back to on the 5th of April, Mubarak Bala, the president of the Humanist Association of Nigeria, was sentenced in Kano to 24 years imprisonment under criminal charges for breaching the peace. According to a Facebook post that he did on April 20 for insulting Prophet Muhammad. Was it right to have insulted, Prophet Muhammad, knowing fully well that a lot of Muslims might get angry? Or is this something that maybe the government, because the northern part of Nigeria is more of an Islamic state, and that is why they've overreacted? Should somebody have insulted Prophet Muhammad in Lagos State or in the Southwest, would the person would have been sentenced to 24 years in prison? Remember that there was was it Rebecca, the girl that was stoned to death was that not in Kano or Sokoto? I'm sure some of you, let me get that out as well. Once again, as we continue to review, we all remember Deborah. Deborah was killed in Nigeria, sometime last year when, Deborah was lynched to death. Yeah, Deborah Yakubu, on the May 12th, 2022, Deborah Samuel Yakubu, a second-year Christian college student, was killed by a mob of Muslims. Her name has actually got into, the Wikipedia as well. In Sokoto State. That was in Sokoto. A very good evening to you once again, Oluwatobi Olushesi, and thank you so much, those of you that are still with me. So, looking at, and the reason why she was stoned to death was accusation of blaspheming. Sokoto State. I mean, we saw, the atrocity, we saw the footage. I'm not sure whether if anybody saw that footage then, how you felt, and I'm not even sure why, Deborah was not mentioned in this report, or maybe probably I missed it. Let's go back again to a journalist. I mean, so many journalists. Pelumi, I'm not sure why Amnesty International missed that. Pelumi Oyefade was killed in Lagos during the NSAS. Maybe because that was 2020. Maybe that report came out in 2021, because this report is for 2022. So these are all the atrocities that happened, last year. And there's some that probably will not get to Amnesty International that we are aware of. So when we go back and ask the question, is Nigeria, safe? Or, Nigerians, do you go to Nigeria, as those some of us that are living outside Nigeria, and you might say something and you can find yourself not returning back to where you're coming from? Let's again look at on the July 27th, the chief judge of Akwa Ibom State committed an activist, Inebe Effiong, to prison without trial for a month. I mean, these are so many different atrocities. Lekki, toll gate. As at October 20, I mean, we still have, about 2 years after, the Lekki massacre, there was still people that have been kept, in different prisons, especially in Agodi, where we remember that, a criminal actually broke into the prison and released, what was that name of that man that got released? Nobody knows his location right now, from Agbolongo prison. I'm sure some of you remember them. But today, we have more innocent Yorubas, because I believe there are more Yorubas in Ibadan than in the north, that end up in the prison for 2 years. And as the election was coming, get them released so that in time before the election, so that people say we are very, Sheyi Makinde is doing very good. I mean, he's been reappointed again, and we just have to continue to monitor, some of the. So it is not just in Lagos State, the atrocities of the human right was happening across different parts of Nigeria, including Abuja, the FCT. Let's go back and talk about, very good evening to you, Mr. Olariwaju Arolu. Good evening to you, Prince Adebayo, Shitu, and the rest of you that have joined me as well. Let's come again and talk about arbitrary arrest and detention. People get arrested, and you could end up in the prison for a very long time. But you are likely to, to get out of it as quickly as possible. But is that the society? Is that the kind of system that we want to live? Is anything going to change from May 29 when Tinubu takes over? Tinubu has been out of sight, even though his birthday today. No video evidence of his location. We are just told that he's not in Nigeria. Whether Tinubu is in France, nobody knows. Whether Tinubu is in Paris, whether Tinubu is in London or he's gone for lesser Hajj in Saudi Arabia. But I know that a lot of Nigerians are asking questions. There's a picture that I've just seen by Abba Yusuf Bichi, Nigerian elect president. I don't know whether this is a new picture or, like I said, we just have to wait and see. So, when Tinubu becomes the president, is he going to tolerate as much as what Buhari has not been able to tolerate? Because Buhari actually said, no, you cannot continue. Twitter got banned for 7 good months. Let's go into arbitrary arrest in this report at exactly 8 o'clock at 2000 hours. Then we're going to talk about Yoruba nation and then everything around self-determination, because I have a few things that I picked up from Professor during his engagement with the world media on Sunday that we're going to listen to as well. At least 40 protesters remain in detention without trial in Agodi prison, Ibadan. This is just something that you ask yourself and say, for how long are we going to continue like this? Is Nigeria going to change? Is Amnesty International report biased or is it balanced? Are there details as much of different report? Because I didn't see the report on maybe because this is last year. Okay, maybe not. All right. 40 protesters. Our professor says, under Tinubu, Nigeria is going to go back to proper federalism. Wait and see. Total federalism. With the same 1999 constitution. 40 protesters remain in detention without trial. What does it mean that, if, here in UK, people get picked up and there's no trial and you're kept in the prison? What do you think is going to be the reaction of people here in UK? If somebody just got, picked up and 40 of you. 2 years after participating in the hashtag EndSARS protest against the Nigerian security. Shamsuddin Oladipupo, good evening to you and welcome. Shout out again to those of you that are watching us from different parts of the world. This is Starr Radio UK, and this is how we do it every Wednesday. Let's continue. Also, not just in Ibadan, let's go to Umaya. 15 months after, people are still kept incommunicado. 21 people that protested during the EndSARS were just kept incommunicado for 15 months. That's 1 year plus. How do you expect those people to continue to feel? How do you bring this unity, peace among everybody, even though that doesn't agree with the breakup of Nigeria? Some still believe that Nigeria is going to work, and they have the right to that. We cannot change their mind. I mean, if you think that Nigeria is going to work, like somebody just said there, Tinubu is going to bring in, true federalism, into the country, and maybe that will balance the situation that we are discussing, the problems, surrounding every part of Nigeria, because almost every part of Nigeria tonight is going through one problem or the other. But how Tinubu is going to do that, we just have to wait until May 29, when Tinubu becomes officially, by giving him the, the handover, ceremony that normally happens when a new president is coming. So we will continue to monitor that, and we'll be discussing that at that appropriate time. But let's go back again. There's a young girl, Glory Okoli, was detained for more than 150 days because they believe that she was a spy on, working for the indigenous people of Biafra, known as the IGBOHO. On the 13th of October, the court appealed clear IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu of all criminal charges, yet the federal government refused to release him. Is Tinubu going to come and release Nnamdi Kanu? Or is he just going to allow the process to continue, just as Buhari said, let the court decide. I don't want to interfere as a president. Are we going to see changes when Tinubu eventually takes the baton, on the 29th day of May, which is just, when we look at, well, today's 29. So in 2 months' time, Tinubu, if all goes as planned, will then become the president, and then there will now be the shift is now going to be on Tinubu, and we then talk about less about Buhari, because Buhari is just going to fade away, which is what normally happens. The new president takes over, and whatever becomes of Nigeria from the May 29, that is if the power change hand, as we are looking up to that, because there's still a lot of different rumors. We can't go with the rumors. We can't go with speculation. But people say, even Shetima says, court case or no court case, Tinubu will become the president fully on May 29. We just have to wait and see. So 2 months from today, take note of today. So 2 months, I'm going to come back, to this, my record here. 2 months from tonight, if all goes as planned from the federal government, not by me, from the federal government, Tinubu is meant to take over from Buhari. And that means from the 30th of May, whatever I have to now say will focus on the new government. But for now, the old government, which is 8 years of President Muhammadu Buhari, maybe, towards before the 2 months, I'm going to come back again on Starr Radio UK. I've done one, I'll put one again on record, 8 years of President Muhammadu Buhari, and I think I might just allow like a phone call. So first we do one, which is going to be a phone call. People call into the program for the 2.5 hours. You can speak in Yoruba, you can speak in broken English, you can speak in Igbo, as long as you can help us to translate it as well. You can call in from the northern part of Nigeria, because not everybody believes that Buhari has done worst. There are still some people that believe that President Muhammadu Buhari has been able to do the best for Nigeria. So you have the opportunity. Maybe we can do that next week. That will be the first week of the program on Niger Voices. President Muhammadu Buhari, 8 years in office, and you'll be able to call in and you can tell us, as long as you're not using, the F word and the swear languages, you'll be able to get your views in. So next week we might do that. But tonight, today is the 29th day of March, 2023. So we now have 2 months before Tinubu becomes officially the president. He's still president-elect. He's not yet the president. Okay, so Buhari is still in charge for the next 2 months. So while Buhari is in charge, we know that Buhari does not control the state. So most of the state have also been using, injustice on the citizens, whether it's in Oyo State, whether it's in Benue State, whether it's in Rivers State. We know that Wike is a very, another very wicked governor there that has been very, using injustice and inhumane. But can the federal government, whether, the Buhari right now, can he have a big say on what is happening on the state level? Or is it just the same? Since the federal is not also obeying most of the court orders. Remember that even, the Naira situation that we've been talking about for some time here on the Starr Radio UK, as we speak right now, the TUC and the NLC, the Nigerian Labour Congress, is still telling Emefiele that we are giving you another 2 weeks. Why are they giving Emefiele more weeks? I mean, by now you will expect them to have enforced the protest. Or is it that protest is not good? Emefiele has not done much, in making the Naira situation scarcity available to Nigerians. Aziz Shakir, a very good evening to you and welcome to the program. Adeyemi Oluwa Shola, a very good evening to you and welcome. Yeah, Wakilu, thank you so much, Mr. Lariwaju. Wakilu got missing. Well, not got missing. He was kidnapped. No, not kidnapped. It was there was a jailbreak in Agbolongo prison, and today Seyi Makinde cannot tell us where Wakili is. Wakili is actually gone, long gone. Wakili is a terrorist operating somewhere in Oyo State until it was picked up by the OPC. The OPC team got into the prison while Wakili was there, still making, and eventually Wakili members came in and break the prison, just as Kuje prison was break, and 60 according to Amnesty International. I'm sure there are more than 60. And out of that 60 people that got jailbreak in Kuje prison, nobody knows their location as we speak tonight. So there's a lot going on in Nigeria that you keep asking yourself, just as Emefiele have refused to allow the old Naira notes in circulation, even though they've accepted, the judgment from the court. So Nigeria is just a country that has a lot of issues. Is the new president that is coming on board, is he going to make those issues? Some of those issues will be, security will be the priority of Tinubu when it comes in. Security is very, very important. Education, a lot of Nigerians, as we had there, 20 million Nigerians are out of school, 20 million children. 20 million children are out of school. I used to think it's 12 million. I didn't know that the number has gone that much. Once again, a very good evening, and keep your comment coming. I'll be reading them out as well. Maybe we see if I can open the phone line, but not too sure yet, but we see. 20 million children out of school in Nigeria, out of school. How do you feel, 20 million? That is a time bomb waiting to happen. So now, let's go back just before 8 o'clock when I'm going to be going straight to what Professor Banji Akintoye was saying on Sunday during a media chat with the Yoruba people. Let's quickly look at what is trending on the social media this evening. Once again, this is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London, and I welcome you once again. If you're joining us for the very first time, maybe we should just welcome you. What do you think? Shall I welcome you properly? There's a way we can welcome you. There's always a way. We love to welcome our new, those that have joined us for the very first time on Starr Radio UK.
In your car, at work, at home, on your smartphone. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7. In your car, at work, at home, on your smartphone. The best radio show. The best radio show. The morning show. The best radio show. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
And that is, saying welcome to those of you that have joined us so far. As we say, welcome to Starr Radio UK. Keep your comment coming. To be honest, I'll be reading them out. This is what we do. We allow your comment to come through because we are
broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
We are broadcasting online 24/7. And again, I will first say Governor Emefiele will be out of office once Tinubu comes in as president. A very terrible CBN governor. I mean, even El Rufai said, Emefiele. I remember a particular video. Let me see if I can get that video. You all remember that video, a mother was a Emefiele, when what is the situation on ground, in Nigeria? I want to get your views. Share get your comment coming. Let me know. Share what is circulation. Are you able to get the money out now in Nigeria? Let us know from the comment section. To be honest, I'm going to be reading your comment out. We don't read your comment out here because we believe that you are part of us. Even if your comment is not something that can be of but it is your own opinion, and we want your opinion to be heard here. We can disagree and agree, especially those of us that live in a civilized society. People say, Koikia, you're not supporting that woman. I say, look, we can disagree, but at the end of the day, that is their view. I don't agree with that view. The picture circulating of Tinubu, I'm told, is not a new picture. So the question is, where is the president-elect? Where is the president-elect? Who knows where Tinubu is? I'm going to be telling you more about my poll. If you go on my Facebook page, not the Starr Radio, go on the koikimedia Facebook page. you're going to see a lot of our posts there, a lot of our poll. I'm going to tell you more about it as well. But what is trending as we speak right now on the social media? INEC is trending. I won't be surprised. INEC is trending. I want to get the video of that. Our mother. I hope I've not deleted, because there's just too many videos, and sometimes you just have to delete some of them. If it's not yet, probably maybe some other time I will get the video ready for us. I believe I've deleted the video. What do you think that now that Peter Obi is not the president? Remember that this is what Ayo Adebanjo had to say. Let's get that audio out.
Freedom. It's not an election you're having. If Obi does not win, forget Nigeria.
Okay, now that Peter Obi has not won the election, even though we know that Peter Obi is going to the court, we have to wait for that. Sonki says, Emefiele not circulating yet. So there's still no money in Nigeria yet. Wow. Well, maybe one person. Maybe what about you? YòRÀBÁ not. Are you getting money in the northern part of Nigeria? Why not send a comment and let me read your comment out as well? Once again, this is still the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. There's still a lot of atrocity. There's still a lot of killings happening with our people back in Nigeria as well. I can't find the picture, the video, but let's get to hear again from Zazu. Okay, that is Zazu there. Okay, it seems that somebody knows where Tinubu is. Maybe my brother knows. He also says Tinubu is sound and well. Where is Tinubu? Is he in London? Is Tinubu in London, or Tinubu is in France, or is he gone to Saudi Arabia? At least he's a public figure. People need to know where the incoming president is as we speak right now. Where is Bola Ahmed Tinubu? His birthday today is 71. And even though normally he would have done his program in Lagos State, but he said tonight, or today, I would rather say, prayer for Nigeria. That is what Tinubu actually said with a media release some few days ago before his birthday today. The Vice President Osinbajo was in London, some few days ago. I'm not sure whether he has returned back to Nigeria. I'm just trying to get, where is that now? Okay, I think we have it at the bottom. Yeah, that is the president-elect there receiving his certificate, and we are still hoping that come 2 months from now, as everything goes as planned. Well, I don't believe in the president, so I'm not supporting any president. You have the right to believe in him. I don't believe in the politics in Nigeria. I've said that, and everybody knows my view. But your own view is well respected. He's not my president. He's the president of Nigeria. I don't live in Nigeria. I live outside Nigeria because I don't believe in Nigeria, and everybody knows my views on that. So, but you have the right. Everybody have the right to believe in the president. That is it. Tinubu is going to be coming in 2 months' time if all goes as planned, and we're going to now focus more on him. But for now, we're still focusing on where is Tinubu. Tinubu is trending. I don't know why it's trending. So let's look at why Tinubu is trending. In 5 minutes, like I said, we're going to hear a little bit of what DSS is trending. I'm not sure why DSS is trending. Have you been following, FFK? FFK is saying to the Deputy British High Commissioner in London to keep his mouth shut away from the Nigeria politics. What is your take on that as well? 2023 election is now completed, or maybe not yet, because there's still a lot of, court cases and all sorts going on as well. So, again, Mace God say he's nowhere to be found. Mrs. Folashade say, good morning. Wow, what part of the world? Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, according to the time. I believe you're talking about that woman that normally say, good morning, good morning, or whatever she normally say. Emeka Ihedioha is also trending. So let's see why Tinubu is trending right now. Once again, a very, very good evening to you, Mrs. Rukayat Omawumi, if you're there. And also those of you that are watching us on different platforms as well. Shamsuddin Oladipupo, once again, a very good morning. Good evening. Shout out to those of you, Adekunle Plenty, my brother right there on Instagram. And a shout out to those of you as well that are listening to us on all the other platforms. So I'm trying to say why Tinubu is trending. I'm not sure why. Nothing there. Okay, let's leave. That is trending. Not sure why as well. We know that is the vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party. Now that the election is done, okay, INEC returning officer in Abia State governorship election, Professor Inena Oti, has revealed that she was offered financial incentive to manipulate election result. So it seems that our students are very happy that she didn't collect the money. What a great woman. Now let's go and see why DSS. I'm not sure why DSS is trending this evening at about 15K. Okay, nothing much there. So let's start getting ready. Olatunji Officer also went on to say the same people shouting that Tinubu is not well before the campaign are at it again. They will soon keep quiet. Tinubu is playing with your head. That is coming from Olatunji Officer as well. So now let's get a bit of what Professor Adebanji Akintoye said during the Yoruba World Media Engagement on Sunday. The Yoruba Nation, as a lot of us know, people have been asking, what is going on with the Yoruba Nation? Is it over? Is it, what is actually happening around the Yoruba Nation movement? What is it all about? For those that probably don't know, Yoruba Nation movement is a movement, that the Yoruba people are saying that we are one people, one language, and one culture, and we would like to have our own independent country. How easy is that? Is the question. Is it easy to get a country? What are the things that you need to put in place? What are the things that you need to do? Something that, Tinubu being the president, might have impact on the Yoruba. I don't think so, but some people believe such as well. I don't believe that. Tinubu is not representing the Yoruba as a Yoruba president. Tinubu is representing Nigeria and Nigerians as a country rather than as Yoruba president. But we know it's from Yoruba side. Now let's listen to Professor Adebanji Akintoye, just about a few minutes, and then we come back again to the program.
So ìdí ẹ̀ ni ẹ̀fọn fi wá sọ pé máa kó gbogbo ẹ̀dọ́ máa sọ fún mi lẹ́nu. Àwa ọmọ Yorùbá a ti ṣoríire púpọ̀, a ṣoríire gan-an ni. Ṣùgbọ́n a ní àwọn kìnìkan tó ń ṣe ìgbìnà wa. Mo ṣe fẹ́ bá yín sọ lẹ́yìn. Èmi ò ní fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ ẹnikẹ́ni. Ìdí tí mi ò ti fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ ẹnikẹ́ni ni wípé mo ti ṣògbúra níwájú Ọlọ́run pé mi ò ní bínú sọ́mọ Yorùbá kankan, mi ò ní bá ọmọ Yorùbá kankan jà. There will no malice in my heart towards any Yoruba person anywhere in the world, no matter what they do or say. So ìdí ẹ̀ nìyẹn tí mi ò ń ṣọ́ra ní bàbá rẹ̀ lẹ́sẹ̀ níwájú Ọlọ́run. Mo fi búra pé mi ò ní ṣe ẹ̀kọ́ àpapọ̀. Tó bá tó bí ẹ̀gbẹ́ ó yẹ kí n sòótọ́ fún mi, ó yẹ kí n sọ. For the first time, nǹkan tí mo fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ yóò fẹ́ bí gan ni o. For the first time, mo fẹ́ jẹ́ kí àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá kan mọ̀. Àwọn kan ń ṣe ìdènà fún ìlọsíwájú ìjà yìí. Wọ́n lè ṣe àwọn bíi wípé ìjà yìí náà làwọn náà jà wọ́n jà o. Wọ́n wá láti wá rí pé a ò mú ìdílé ni. Wọ́n wá láti rí pé a fẹ́ ló sú wa àfi sílẹ̀ àpò lẹ́yìn. Nǹkan tí wọ́n wá ṣe nìyẹn o. For instance, ní end of last year, ní àsìkò báyìí, wọ́n ti pé mo sọ fún mi pé tí nǹkan lọ dàbí pé lágbára Ọlọ́run a máa lè sọ̀rọ̀ country wa, ká ṣe declaration, ká ṣe sọ. Adẹ̀ ní ìdí ká fi sọ yẹn gbà yẹn ọkàn wa balẹ̀ sí nǹkan tá à ń sọ gbà. Ọ̀sán rí àwọn ọ̀rẹ́ àgbègbè méjì ló súnmọ́ wa dáhùn báwa sọ̀rọ̀ ló fi wá lọ́kàn balẹ̀ pé adẹ̀ ti ń sọ fún ọ wípé àjọ máa jókòó àjọ máa ronú ìjọba bá máa ṣe tọ́lẹ̀ ní àwọn gbà. Táwa bá rẹ́dì àwọn fẹ́ jókòó tiwa kájọ rò kájọ sọ̀rọ̀. Adẹ̀ ti jọ ń rò àjọ sọ̀rọ̀. Adẹ̀ ń rò pé lágbára ọlọ́run báyìí tó bá jẹ́ end of December a máa sọ̀rọ̀ tó fi bàtà àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá tó máa mú gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá jù. Then suddenly àwọn kan bá lára ní wọ́n ní àwọn kìkì kí àyè Yorùbá jù. And ọ̀rọ̀ tí a jọ ń sọ̀rọ̀ lọ dáadáa tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ táìmù tọ́lọ̀ ọlọ́run àti wá rí pé àwakọ̀ là ṣe àṣemáṣe wọn. Àtọ́ ń wọ́pọ̀ náà wá àmọ̀ wọn àwọn arákùnrin àbá lè dá ṣọ́ọ̀bù burú àwọn lọ́sẹ̀. Wọ́n lè ṣe kọ́ntínú láti máa ṣe. Àwọn máa sọ pé ojú tì wọ́n ọwọ́ wọn dílé wọ́n ṣe wọ́n ní káwọn máa lọ máa sọ pé wọ́n ọkùnfà rẹ̀. Ibi tá a wà lẹ́yìn àwọn ọmọ wa náà kò níbi tí wọ́n ti lọ ṣe ọkùnfà rẹ̀ wọ́n tó márùn mẹ́fà ọkùn máa sọ ní tó pọ̀. Lára àwọn tí wọ́n kó ní Ìbàdàn wọ́n ṣáàjì àwọn méjì kan fún.
Once again, this is still Starr Radio UK. We're just going to take a little bit more from that. The full video you can watch from the social media. We can get a link out to you, or go to the Yoruba World Media where you can get the full package of what the leader of the Yoruba self-determination movement is saying. But let's get a little bit more, and then we go back into the program at 4 minutes past 8 p.m. before the programs end at exactly 8:30.
Any legal system law, treason. Number trying for treason, to back get the one man family, to sort of hot, to sort of prison, to sort of fine. Treason is always visited with execution. So now we have some Yoruba boys who are standing with their life, to the end of their life, facing them. I want to charge you for treason.
Customers are more likely.
Okay, so as we continue to monitor what Professor was saying there, this was an interview, that occurred over the weekend on Sunday, and let's go back again into it.
And I charge them for ordinary offense, but I want to be a charge them for treason. Charge them for anything, fellow me. Charge them for treason. I want to charge for treason. The church won't get to some of them charge. Fellow me. Àwọn tí wọ́n dẹ̀ charge fún treason life that is execution ní òpin ẹ̀rọ ẹ̀mọ́ pàdé wọn ní ètò. Ara pé agbódò ṣe kìnìún kan tó gba nínú ọ̀gá ṣe kìnìún kan ṣe nǹkan tó fà á nínú ẹ̀rọ. Ẹ̀yàn kankan òwúrọ̀ ẹ̀yàn kan ló ní lẹ́tà dání pé wọ́n ti fún wa ẹ̀rọ máa ṣe ọ̀pá ẹ̀. Kò sí any authority anywhere on earth who lè fún any human being, citizen of any country in the world, agbára wípé wọn gbàjọba ìlú ẹ̀ wọ́n sì ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ náà àwọn ènìyàn wà wọ́n lè ní ìlú. Wọ́n gbà ọmọbìnrin kan tó gbé rárá onídùúpẹ́ onídìí gómìnà Ògùn stéèjì àti gómìnà dẹ̀ wà bẹ́ẹ̀. Inú mi ò dùn sí gbogbo wọn tó ṣẹlẹ̀ náà.
So we're going to leave that. Like I said, it's just a snip. Very good evening to you, our mother, Mrs. Toyin Akunleye, for joining us as well. We might pick a little bit from part of what Baba was saying there. But one thing is, with the Yoruba Nation movement, I'm going to speak a bit of Yoruba for, not for any reason, but we're going to translate to those of our listeners that are not Yorubas as well. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ sọ pé ṣé Yoruba Nation movement ti tán because election has been done and conducted. First and foremost, we have nothing to do pẹ̀lú ọ̀rọ̀ election. Election was not as any reason for the Yoruba Nation. Ìdí tá a ṣe ń sọ pé a country of our own is because the British that brought this union together brought it together for a reason known to them. And today, after 63 years of the independence, the Yoruba people say, no, we want to go back to where we used to be. It's not going to be an easy journey because already, the journey has been infiltrated by some individuals that also want to hijack it for their own selfish interest. There's been propaganda. There's been a lot of different allegations without any concrete evidence. But as we know, people love, gossip and people love propaganda. I already talked about that before. So, fine, is because that is what you are thinking in your mind. Yoruba Nation is a movement, just as there's a movement from the Scottish people wants to leave the union of the United Kingdom. The Wales wants to have their own self-independent governing country. They don't want to be part of the UK anymore. They're tired of being part of the union. And the new minister in Scotland is going to be asking again for another referendum. Whether Rishi Sunak, our own prime minister here, will allow such to happen, time will tell. But there is a push, and that push means that Scottish people are still demanding a full referendum to decide whether they want to be part of UK. Remember that in 2016, the United Kingdom decided that after over 3 decades, with the European Union, they wanted to have their own border control. And anyone that doesn't control their borders, you are not in charge anymore. They wanted to control their border. They also wanted to control their own laws, because that means now that UK is out of the European Union, you cannot take them to the European Court of Law as it used to be in the past. Let's go back and listen a little bit more in just about 20 minutes. We're going to be ending the program, but let's go back and get more from what Baba Akintoye was saying.
You're very dear to me. He is very dear to me today. But that partisan politics. The problems facing the Yoruba Nation need that somebody to stand up who can call the attention of the Yoruba Nation to it. The banning of partisan politics, so I'm sorry. We take good care of you. But I cannot do it. I cannot do it. The mama told me, Mama, of course, but I cannot do it. In 2010, that's what called the history of the Yoruba. Our leaders were needed. You see, I can do it. Our governors were on my launch here because the best history of Yoruba book.
Well, again, that is part of what Baba was saying.